I must now prepare an undercut-free cast so that my base plate does not get locked into any undercuts. And I'm using the number 7 spatula, and I'm going to apply wax from the survey line down anywhere that my base plate is going to cover. So first I'm hitting this proximal surface here, and you want to over block out a little bit. If you put it back on that surveyor and you see a triangular space of light in that area, you know you haven't blocked it out enough. So I'm starting with the proximal surfaces of the molar. Again, adding it. Now I'm going to carry my block out to the facial a bit, because when I go to put on this material, this base plate material in here, it's going to flow into that undercut there, even though my my base plate should come right down here level with that tooth. But I'm telling you, when you're pushing that material in place, it sometimes goes to little areas that you don't want it to go, and if it goes over here, it's going to be locked on your tooth if you don't have it blocked out on that area. And then what I'm also doing is I'm taking my instrument and kind of, as it's warm, I'm almost trying to parallel it myself like an analyzing rod, so that I don't have to remove as much of it with my wax carver. On the lingual, we have to block out that undercut all the way across that tooth, because all of that will be covered with record base. We're going to plate that tooth, and we can't let any of it get into our undercut. But I got to get all these undercuts sufficiently blocked out. I want to kind of over block it out, then when I take the wax trimmer to it, I won't have quite as much work to do. I'm going to also hit that back surface a little bit, because when I go to place my base plate material back there, I know some of it will go to the posterior of that tooth, and it can get caught into an undercut. We have to do it to our canine. And the canine, you need to go a little bit to the labial also, because again, that material, as you're trying to put it in, follow that outline, some of it may flow under this undercut and you're going to be in trouble. You want to over block it out a bit. You have some survey lines on the lingual, and you have those embrasures that you don't want to get caught in, but just a little bit of wax in that area will take care of those. Don't overdo it, or you cannot get that trimmer in there very well. So just a little bit of wax along that area is all that's necessary. Just get those little cervical areas that really there's not much of an undercut there. And I'm going to fill in that deep area there. I don't want to get caught under my incisor either. Blocking out all these undercuts below the survey line. They weren't very severe on the linguals. And then the distal of my premolar. The areas that you most often have problems with are like right here at this particular angle right here. And if you put that instrument there and you see that little triangular space of light in there below it, you think, okay, I maybe haven't gotten the undercut parallel all the way down to the bottom. And then this angle right here gives you some trouble. And that is where some of that triad can flow as you're trying to work your base plate down at this area. And if it gets caught into this undercut, you'll rip that tooth off. Now you can place the wax carving instrument in the surveyor, and it's the one that has a half round flat side that's kind of sharp on the edges. Place that into your surveyor, and with that instrument, carve the excess wax that you have added. Carve it until your waxing instrument or your carving instrument goes back and touches the tooth. Carve those interproximals and carve that excess wax off. Follow it around your survey line. Carve that excess wax off. When you get back to the tooth surface, then anything below it will be parallel. Now you should not be able to see a triangular space of light below that survey line after you've carved this. This will carve it parallel to your path of insertion. It'll come around the facial, same way right in this area. Make sure there's no triangular space of light right in here, because this is where it can get caught into the tooth. And do that on all of your abutment areas where you have added wax. Carve off the excess to where you get back to the wax carver touching the tooth. Everything will then be parallel, blocked out. The advantage of blocking out totally parallel is that your record base will be extremely stable. Do that all on all those proximal surfaces. You don't want to carve away the stone. If you carve away the stone, you've changed your cast, and it is sharp enough that you can carve away that stone. And then do that on the lingual aspect of those two premolars. Do that all on all those proximal surfaces. You don't want to carve away the stone. If you carve away the stone, you've changed your cast. And then do that on the lingual aspect of those two premolars. Now it's real hard to trim the interproximals with this little instrument. You can get in there relatively well. And these little areas at the gingiva, they're really pretty. On this particular case, they're not very prominent. Well, this looks like I have blocked out all my undercuts parallel. As I check them roughly, I don't see any triangular spaces of light below them. Critical areas are right in here. Right here at this line angle, right in here. All these linguals on these premolars here, there should be no space of light. It should be totally filled with blockout, and along here. So those are critical areas that need to have been blocked out really well parallel. Here is a blocked out cast using the cast trimmer, the wax trimmer from the surveyor tools. We're now ready to go ahead and add our record base material.